What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear here today with a look at the new Quest for Ghal Maraz Age of Sigmar book. This is a really cool book, I feel like. It's not quite as big as the Age of Sigmar one that came out a couple weeks ago that was 264 pages. This is about 240 pages, and it's kind of interesting how they lay it out, but it is full of all sorts of ridiculous fluff and rules and painting guides and war scroll and scenarios and you name it, it's in here. It's crazy how much stuff they've really packed into here. Let's take a look at the contents real quick. So just a quick overview. Basically what you get in here is 8 battle plans to recreate all the battles that were in here. Now this one here, you've got 4 right here. You got 4 intermixed into the War of Life. Well, 2 actually. I think it's 2 in here, 2 in here, and 4 in War of Life. Regardless, this thing, it's kind of hard to kind of comprehend and keep track of everything in here because it's so broken out and kind of spaced all over stuff. They fast forward, they rewind to the old battles, to the new battles, and it's kind of cool, but it's a little bit hard to keep track of because obviously this isn't something any of us are super familiar of. And as I read it, I'm like, wait a minute, that was something that happened. That's going to be the second battle. So I was trying to mentally keep track of it. Now there's 28 war scrolls here in this section, including some new battalions, but not too many. I mean, for new content, there really isn't a whole lot besides the campaigns themselves right here. Then you've got rules for obviously the Stormcast Eternals. You got the Khorne guys in here. You've got Nurgle stuff. You've got the battalions at the bottom. So pretty much no new what is it? There's some Skaven in here, but nothing new, I guess, because they're reboxing the Skaven for this release, and then you've got some of the Nurgle stuff that also has been released already. So what I really liked about it was that they kind of mix in some paint splatter articles, well, I guess more of a painting guide. Like you got a painting guide here, depending on what you want, what kind of stuff you want to paint. You want to paint the Howled Knights, hey, we got it right here. The Bleak Horde, we got you right here. I think there was another one up here. Yep, the Blighted Realms, so the Nurgle dudes, we got you right there. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of cool looking stuff in here. Once again, it's designed by Games Workshop in Nottingham, produced in China as well. Now, I was talking to some people the other day, and we saw where they kind of went away from basically putting ownership, like authorship, on the books and on the codexes, because everybody assumes, because the whole Matt Ward thing for 40K, you got death threats and things like that, and it was just really kind of ridiculous in and of itself. But I was actually talking to somebody that's friends with Matt Ward, and they were telling me, they're like, hey, look, that needed to happen, because basically what was happening, according to somebody that is friends with Matt Ward and does talk to him a lot, that I talk to every now and then, that what happened is, apparently people turn in writers, rules makers turn in drafts to Games Workshop back to the studio, and what happens at that point with the rules that they have quote unquote play tested and really felt like they're polished and they're robust and they're really cool, they take that and they turn it into Games Workshop. And then what the G-Dub Studio does and the board does, the board likes to tinker in everything. Trust me, I asked the guys from Codex Pictures that I guess basically went out of business after the Ultraman movie came out. They literally talk to them every day about that movie, about every little nuance, every little point. From what I understand, those guys were just getting super frustrated at the end of it and didn't want anything to do with the project. But that being said, you have to realize that there is some tinkering going on. Maybe the things that the writers, the gameplay designers at the studio turn in, what actually turns into the book at some point, isn't exactly good. They might want to sell models. They might do it because, hey, this is too powerful, or they might just tinker and they don't realize what they're tinkering and that they really screwed up some synergy on something, whoever touches it. But just keep that in mind as you go forward. It was a really interesting little tidbit that I had heard that I wanted to share with you guys because I thought it was pertinent. So once you start looking at the contents here, you start kind of seeing how it develops. It breaks down into the quest. In general, it kind of recaps the first book. Then it breaks down into trying to get back the Heldenhammer, the Great Shatter, the Ghal Maraz itself, and kind of how that's going. And then you have these individual sections of the wars and the fights in those regions. In Shaman, that is the Realm of Metal, and then you got the War of Life and the Great Crucible, which is I believe it's Shaman. it's at the top of the mountain or something. There's a diagram in here. We're all still learning, which is really cool, because if you look back at Rogue Trader 40K, there wasn't this much fluff. It was just kind of like developed over the years, and now we're just getting so much fluff at once. It's almost hard to digest as much as it is all the rules and everything, which is really exciting, because it's very super immersive. I feel like you've got all these dynamic, like, forlorn hopes, and these guys getting smited and coming back to life, and killing some of the characters on the chaos side, and it's just so crazy. And you see all these magnificent, like, layouts of these models. I mean, look at this right here. You got these guys just look awesome. I don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff just looks good. I mean, look at this background here, and we start seeing some of the shots in this book. They're really spectacular, I feel like. So you kind of flip through it. You're gonna see kind of a lot of different things. Like, they give the overview of what's going on, how Sigmar lost his hammer. He was basically tricked. He didn't want to get in a duel with Archaon, so he basically chucked a hammer at him. Archaon's like, hey, just kidding, I'm really an illusion, this is a black hole, oops, and there goes Sigmar's hammer. So little Zinchi playing some tricks there. The Realm Gate Wars basically getting into where we are right now, kind of alluding to the future war at the All Points, which is the All Points is like the point where they have these bridges that go out to all the different realms, and you can kind of see that in some of the maps. And the first war he actually lost. That was where Nagash basically betrayed him and his Great Alliance. So now you start getting into just some general overviews and things like that. And then here's the quest begins, and it starts getting into Shaman, I believe it's called, where the Realm of Metal, and they're making their way, and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and blah blah blah, just crazy battles against Tzeentch, against they're trying to get slowed down by the Skaven, and then they switch back to the Blighted Realm, where they're trying to link up with the Wood Elves and get their support there. And there's some really, I wanted to show you, I mean, obviously there's a lot of really good looking art in here. It's just amazing looking stuff. Just amazing, crazy looking stuff. Now here's the first, I want to show you some of these rules and kind of how that works, but what I really wanted to show you was the Tzeentch. Here it is. Okay, so here is the realm of metal, and kind of what's going on, and where they're going to get the hammer itself, and all the basically the storm hosts that are running and going in there to get it. Here is one of the they call it the Silver Ways. Those are what's good. Those are the bridges, so to speak, that go to the All Points, where you can kind of, if you're at the All Points, you can kind of just jump over to some of these realms. You don't have to use the gates. So that's why it's so important to have the All Points, because obviously if Chaos has one, they can just kind of go wherever. So keep that in mind. So there's a diagram. Really good looking stuff. Really neat artwork. There's a ton of new artwork in here. So here's the first, basically, I guess we'll say mission for the campaign. Now there's a whole bunch of these in here. 8 actually, and so you can kind of see what's going on. Now some of them, like, they give sorcerers special abilities like transmute metal. I think there was one in the life, I forget what it was. There's it's just a lot of stuff to read, to be honest, and I haven't quite got here's the transmutation of lead, so that's kind of cool. So there's all sorts of different scenarios in here that's really neat to see. And then you get into all sorts of more battles and crazy stuff. It's just so intermixed in here. And I wanted to show you one of those little paint guides. They're very basic, but still, they're at the back of each of the section. There's one. So basically, kind of just to get you up to speed, they just kind of they paraphrase it. It's not like the true paint splatter formation or paint splatter article, but you can kind of tell how it happens, and it just kind of goes through it. And there's one for each of the basically famous battles here, or famous factions rather, of the Age of Sigmar battles in this book. So then it kind of wades its way through all of that, and then it gets to like the final battle where all this stuff's going down, and they're trying to make their way to get the hammer and get into the fortress. Battle against time. They're trying to get over the bridge, and the sea is boiling up, and bloodthirsters are coming out of it, and it's getting pretty hectic and things like that. Here's the Bleak Horde paint guide. Kind of shows you how to paint those Tzeentchian chaos warriors that are defending that whole realm. And then it gets into, here's the overview for the realm of life, where the Wood Elves are kind of hanging out trying to dodge the Nurgle guys. So like I said, tons of good artwork. I mean, I could spend days literally talking about this whole section here, but what I really wanted to get to was the War Scroll section, just to kind of show you what's going on there. So here's the very last kind of thing here, where Sigmar gets his hammer back. Obviously we kind of knew that was going to happen. Really good looking art. I mean, just take a look at that right there. And then here is where they actually retrieve it itself. So very cool looking stuff, very stunning artwork, always good looking stuff there. And then we get into the War Scroll section, so hints and tips and things like that. And then it's got all the sections, the Stormclads, you know, the Nurgle dudes. Then you got the Skaven. Then you got the actual Khorne guys in the very back. And then, of course, you get to the battalions themselves. There they are. And like I said, there's a couple new ones in here. I don't know exactly which ones they are. I think these first two. I believe this one is new, the Annihilation Brotherhood, but it is a download on GW site. This was from the starter box. I believe these are in the book, or the downloads. These are also in the downloads, I believe. So not too many new ones, to be quite honest. And then, of course, the 4-page rules at the very back that we've all come to know and or hate, I guess. And then a little Dramatis persona in the very back here, kind of like what they do with the Horus Heresy novels, just so you can kind of keep track of what is going on, because there's a lot of players going on in here, especially just for the Stormclad guys. Now, a lot of these a lot of the Nurgle dudes didn't really have a name before, but now we're starting to see more of them getting actual names as some of the demons as well. So that's kind of cool to see that some of them are getting filled in backgrounds and things like that. Here's some great shots of the new Chaos Fortress that'll be coming out. I don't think it's necessarily Khorne specific, but there's so many shots of it in this book that it's just like really hard to believe that they would not, that this isn't going to figure prominently into, you know, what they're trying to do with, you know, some of the terrain sets and things like that. Obviously, the realm gates are a big deal, so I could see where that is something that they want to push as well. So, very good book, tons of fluff, tons of features, $75 US dollars for the book itself. If you get the digital download, I believe it's $50 on Amazon and Apple, and you could also pick up the enhanced version, which I think isn't quite $75. It might be like $60 or $65 or something like that. So it's really interesting to see that the digital is a little bit cheaper, but you know, not to be completely unexpected, to be quite honest. So that's about it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Quest for Ghal Maraz, the first campaign book in the Realm Gate Wars as far as rules go. So hopefully we'll see a lot more cool stuff for the Age of Sigmar, as they are saying it is a success overall, so that's very neat to see. It's always good to have a second game system that's doing well for your company. Make sure you stay in the trenches, subscribe to this YouTube channel, check out the blog, spikybitsblog.com, and head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content and early access videos, and now a ton of free discounts and also interesting manufacturer discounts as well. Become a veteran of the Long War today.